Hello all, I don't know if you heard, it's only been over a month since this was announced, but Guild Wars 2 is getting a third expansion. I did see this when it was announced on the Guild Wars 2 website, and I'm only just now getting around to making a video over it. Before we get too far into this, next to nothing is really known about this expansion outside of the fact it has been announced. Not only is it the third installment in the Guild Wars 2 franchise, but it seems to be taking place in Cantha, more because of the art that was shown when this was announced. That is clearly Canthan architecture. I don't know where else we would see this type of architecture in game at all. It's kind of funny because it's a little opposite of how it happened in the original Guild Wars, where factions came out first and then Nightfall, so we went to Cantha first and followed by Alona. You'd think it would be the way that it happened here in Guild Wars 2, because Alona is closer to Kryta than Cantha is. However, Guild Wars 1 was a little different because Factions and Nightfall were standalone campaigns. You could take your character that you started in Kryta and go to either or, but they were still standalone campaigns. Story. Good old story. There isn't much we can speculate on the story until we get closer to the launch. The reason for this is Living World tends to have a segue into the next expansion story. It happened in Living World Season 2 with us waking up Mordremoth, and it happened again in Season 3 with us facing against Balthazar before going into the Path of Fire. Given there is no release date, there is no way to tell how this is going to be done, or even the events that will lead up to Cantha at this moment, because right now we are in the middle of the Iceberg Saga and are kind of a little far away from Cantha. There have been a few hints in-game about Cantha, but currently the only ones who have gotten there are the Zephyrites for trading purposes. There's no telling how we're going to be able to get over there or what is going to be going on. I doubt it's going to be as simple as clicking a boat and just teleporting like we did back in Guild Wars 1. Personally, I would love to see what has become of Cantha so many centuries since Factions took place. Something like what we saw during Path of Fire with Alona would be wonderful to see. Given Alona was considered the land of the gods, and we had our main antagonist through Path of Fire being one of the gods, it would be interesting to see what they play off of with Cantha in respect to this as well. We will just have to wait and see how the Living World story develops before leaping into speculation over this expansion story. Meaning, I would rather not try and take a look back at the Factions expansion, because it has been so long since I've personally played it. I have memories of it, yes, such as the starting area and starting with uncovering the plague, but the later story, which I didn't repeat very often, I don't remember that much about. I remember thoroughly enjoying the story. I don't really remember all the beats of the story. Who knows, it might not even be tied in like we had with Joko coming into the story during Alona, but I can't actually see that happening because it's a rich game. It has a lot of lore from the previous games that were released back during Guild Wars 1. Despite it being 300 years later, I doubt some of the aspects of it have changed. One thing I would love to see return is the Phoenix Ranger pet as a tameable pet for the Rangers. All of my Rangers, or even my subclass Rangers back in Guild Wars 1, I would go through the story just to be able to get the Phoenix. That pet is amazing, and I really, really hope that it comes back. In the article, they mentioned something about features. I'm assuming that the features are something like the gliding that was the main selling point back in Heart of Thorns, and mounts being the main selling point back in Path of Fire as your main progression through it, instead of adding a new level cap. What fun features could we see in this expansion? Honestly, I don't know what they could do. I don't want to try and give wild speculations on it because that would be making myself have unrealistic expectations for the expansion, and I would rather not have that kind of expectations because I find having unrealistic expectations going into any expansion for any MMO that I play is unfair to the developers because it makes me think, oh, this is going to happen, and then it never happens. I try to kind of listen and get the facts as much as I can without actually building my own expectations towards what we could possibly see in this, which is also why I'm not really speculating too much on the story. As we get to the end of Iceberg Saga and maybe into another Living World update, since most likely this expansion's not coming out this year, I will start speculating based on the story beats, but I'm not gonna do, oh, we're gonna go do this for certain type thing, because there's no way to tell. They could put a twist in the story, such as seeing Joko in the mists again when we die, like we did with Alona. Not gonna happen in Cantha. Joko is dead. He was kind of eaten. My point being is that I'm not as big of a lore buff on this game as I am on other games, and I just don't want to try and guess what's going to happen next. This being said, I am very excited about this expansion, even if it doesn't end up taking place in Cantha and the image ends up being misleading, which I doubt, because honestly there is no architecture that looks like that outside of Cantha. What do you guys think we will see in the next expansion? Are you guys excited? Looking forward to going to another part of the world? Please tell me down in the comment section below. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next video.